Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. I really appreciate the time that you spend with me, whether you are a subscriber or this is the first time you see me, so thanks for clicking on my video today. Alright, what I'm working on today's video is a bunch of mommy and me or daddy and me hats. I wanted to work with some bulky yarn, and if any of you had seen my last video, it was about sewing, and after doing all the sewing and not doing crochet, and then filming about sewing and then editing about sewing, I was just done. I needed to get some crochet in my system. So of course you go to a hat real quick, right? And if you got some bulky, that's a quick way to knock some work out real quick. So that's what I did. And so I went to Crystal's Bag a Day. She has a playlist on bulky yarns, so I went to that so that I could see what I was able to use that she had used, because that's one of my things. I have to see that label, that yarn used on that project, to know that it's going to work out, right? So what she used for this specific video, and this one is pattern number 735, and she's got a lot of hats called the Unisex, but this one she specifically has a picture of her daughter. They're face to face, and so it's a mommy and me or daddy and me hats, depending on what kind of yarn I guess you use. And so she used a J hook, and she used this type of yarn, Mandala icy, well, not the icy grape, that one was mine, but I can't remember now what color she used. Anyway, Mandala watercolor, and it's a bulky 5. And what you'll find, like I did another video about not all bulky 5s are the same, as you know if you've ever taken a look at the label, and it's something that I just forget. I just take for granted. So when it hits me like a ton of bricks again, all of a sudden, I feel kind of silly. Some fives will request or suggest a 6.5 K hook, and others suggest an L 8mm hook. So right off the bat, you kind of can tell that one is going to be, you know, that much more voluminous. How do you say that? Voluminous. No. Anyway, it's going to be a bigger pattern, a bigger project. But even if you're looking at the yarns, like these two yarns don't look that different to me. I don't know how I can hold it facing. You know, they look the same. And so why does one take a 6.5 and one takes an 8? I don't know. But it messes with me. Big time messes with me. So going into it, I knew that she was using the this Mandala, and it calls for a 6.5, but she was only using a 6. And I already know from some of my patterns with her that I need to go down a hook size. So the first one that I did was I went down to an I hook, a 5.5mm hook, and I thought even if it's too small for an adult, like I was going to work towards the adult size, but I'll go with a smaller hook, and then maybe it'll only be for a kid size, or it'll fit right for an adult. So I went into that and stopped at the key, I guess I want to say, to doing a top-down hat that works for me is measuring the crown. I've got to stop and measure the crown, because I don't do gauge. I never ever do a gauge because I'm so lazy. But if you stop and measure the crown, then it'll save you a whole lot of headache of working on the entire hat that's not going to fit. So I did that, and already at the crown it was not working out. Her stitch count was 50 for the child size and 60 for the adult size, and I was at a 50, and it was already big enough to fit me. And so I went ahead and finished her sizing, and it fits down to my ears. So it's not long enough, but it fits my head. So now I'm like, okay, I did use the hook size even smaller, and I did use the same yarn, and it still didn't work out. So I grabbed another yarn. I don't know which one I worked on next. I think I love this cotton. I love this chunky, which calls for a 6.5, so I should have been okay, but again, it didn't work out. The 50, so what I found with this pattern is that 50 stitches for me work on the adult size, and 40 stitches work for the child size. Period. The end. That's it. Messing around with a different size hook threw me off, because then I was trying to compare this, you know, hook size with less stitches or more stitches, but this yarn is thicker and that one's blah, 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 blah. So I got all over the place. And I made a dozen hats all together, I believe, so that I could really get, I really wanted that mommy and me or the daddy and me set up. So I just needed to keep working on what size was going to work. So I have some stats here for you. Here is, so this is my favorite colorway, and I'll talk about this some more in a minute, but I'm still working on the child size because this was at the beginning of one of my efforts and I stopped at the crown and I moved on to a different yarn. So I'll get back to this one. I think this is gorgeous, but I'll get back to it. My next favorite, it worked out to be, I love this chunky. And for this one, again, I went with only 50 stitches instead of her 60. And I think it fits me perfectly. And it's thick and snug and warm and so soft. I could not believe how soft it is. So let's rewind a little bit. This is made up of, is it 100% acrylic? Okay. Man, it is so soft. So I used one skein for each. I have only this much skein left from the adult size hat. And so this was 93 grams. I used the J-hook. 50 stitches on her pattern worked for me of this yarn. And I think that's one of my favorites. Okay. So then for the kid size, I only did 40 stitches before, you know, and so when I'm talking about the 40 or 50 or 60 stitches, that's how many you do in the crown, what your increases are going to go to. And then you stop at that number and just do one in every, and that builds the side of the hat. So for using only 40 stitches of this one that goes with that, the I Love This Chunky for the child size in 40 stitches, and here on out I just used a J-hook. I didn't mess around with changing up the I-hook anymore. Changing up to the I-hook. So I Love This Chunky in the kid size, 40 stitches, and I think it's super cute and super like perfectly matching, and I think it'll work out great. And that one only weighed 55 grams. So these are 100 grams. So if I had, you know, put this little bit together with it, I might have enough to do one more child size hat. So that's cool. Like that. Whoops. Okay. Okay, what do I want to go to next? So this was, I'll go back to that later. So then I pulled out Charisma. I had some Charisma in the past, and so that's here, and it's a hat that didn't fit right. It looks like a scrunch kind, like you got smaller and smaller and scrunched the top together. Big old brim. It never fit right. You know, it didn't fit right. So I kind of got frustrated with working with a bulky yarn at that point. I can remember they're just single crochets through here. I have no idea whose pattern this is, with a back loop only brim here, and it never really fit me right. So it just got tossed to the side. But again, I'm working on this. You kind of have to do that with patterns because everybody's tension is different. And so just because Crystal used a J-hook with a Mandala yarn and got this certain size, I didn't. So I'm going to play with the stitch count a little bit or the yarn size a little bit. Find your way. It works. I've got these notes now. I know I can do this certain stitch count with certain yarns, and it works a certain way. And I love that information. That's like fabulous information for me. So here was the new one that I made in the adult size. And again, I stopped at 50 stitches, and this one weighs 78 grams. Charisma is made up of, this one's a Michael's yarn that I have, and it is, oh, come on. Where'd you go? It is 100 grams. I can see that 15 times. 100% acrylic. It was hiding down here over this. Loops and Threads brand. So I thought that this was a really cute mommy and me, or daddy and me, if you like the pink and black and gray for the guys. I like the way that these ones worked up. And so 78 grams, so you certainly can get one out of a skein. And this one was 55 grams. So again, you're just like almost right there. Maybe if you skip one row of single crochet. No, I don't know. So that worked out. And then, you know, I've got enough left here to finish because I did one skein each. So I'll make up another one from what's left of that, because you never know if there's a sister, right? It's not just mommy and me, one and one. And so I then wanted to work with some my bloom chunky. I was trying to just hit up all of these recent yarn hauls and use the yarn so that, you know, I like to tell you guys what I've used it on, or how, and show you how it worked up or whatnot. And I understand that the way the bloom works up with that row of flowers in there is so pretty, and it works with knitting, and I understand that it works with single crochet, but I really didn't want to single crochet a hat. So I started with the same count that Crystal was using on this hat, and just did regular double crochets. These, her pattern calls for a front post in the increases and in the body of the hat. But for these two, I wanted to try to get that flowering effect to work out right. And so I knew that, like, just straight stitches, I didn't want to do any post stitches at all. So I made the whole hat out of double crochets, and then just did 2 rows of single crochet for the brim here. So that one's just okay, whatevs. And that one only took 42 grams of yarn, so you can get 2 of those out of 1 skein. This one that I decided to do because I thought maybe, again, you know, I could get a better look of a better representation of that flower band. I've done this hat before, and it is done by a lady named Donna B Creates, and I'll put both these links down below. But she works in the round, so I kind of like that you don't have that seam that works up. And I know that the adult size hat works. I've done hers before. She calls it my go-to hat. And it works for me. So I knew that the sizing was right, you know, based on my tension and the way that I crochet. So I didn't like the fact that they kind of both turned out with the same color pattern play out, you know. So I do have what's left of each of those skeins. So I might try to start one of these, you know, a little bit differently so that that flower row shows up a little bit better, and then maybe you've got or a little bit higher, and then the purple and the pinks will be down below a little bit more. But so this is a pretty yarn. I wanted it to work out. I saw a scarf that was worked in it, and that didn't help. So again, like, I tried to search for the name of the yarn on YouTube to find where somebody else has used that yarn in that specific pattern that I can do, because then I know that it works. But sometimes like this, you just have to play with stitch count and work it out for yourself. So then I was starting to think, one of her other, I kind of sat down and watched 3 different hat patterns that she worked on, and one of them she used scarfy yarn, and so that's a little bit, it is a 5, but it's a little bit thinner of a 5. And so I found that to be the case with this Red Heart gemstone. And I bought this sight unseen, or sight untouched, I should say, because I was watching somebody do a video, a walk through a store, and they touched it and said how nice it was. And so I ordered it online on sale, and then got it and was like, this is not soft at all. But once I started working with it, there are no words to say what the beauty of this yarn, how this plays up. My hair's gonna be a mess, but look at the different, okay, so peridot is a birthstone for August, for those of you who don't know. And this kind of has a little significant happy place for me, because here, I'll put this one on and show you how good this one fits. Snuggy warm. I'm gonna get hot in a minute here. So peridot is the birthstone for August. And when I was growing up, the neighbor girls and I that were best friends, you've heard me talk about my mom sat and crocheted with Janie, her best friend. That was their mom. So Sheila, Sarah, Sonia, hi guys. And my sister Karen. All of our birthdays are in September, December, and March. So we have 3 beautiful different blues that are our birthstones. And then poor Sonia had August, which was, at the time when I was a kid, I thought it was just this ugly green color. But as an adult, you certainly can appreciate things better than you did as a child. So the greens that come out of that stone are just fantastic. So when I started, this is what the skein looks like. And I was just like, oh, look at that pretty. And you know, again, when I buy yarn, it's usually because it's on clearance or on sale at least. So you don't always get your color choices that you might pick otherwise because they're on clearance and trying to clear it out. So some of the, I ended up with 3 and they all were like a blue with a green in it somehow. And I smacked my forehead when I get them home. Why didn't I pay better attention to that? But this is just gorgeous. And so when the hat started working up, I was gasping aloud. My husband thought I was having a fit. But so here, the hat doesn't fit. It's a little bit big. You saw how it fits. I mean, I did have it on. It will fit my head, but this is super snug and nice. This was a little bit longer. Maybe it'll fit a man better than it fit me. I mean, the brim is right. It's, you know, 22 inches my head circumference. So, but it's just kind of a bulky, not bulky. It's a thinner yarn, but it's like baggier. There's more spacing in this. And this was a 60 count, and this was a 50 count. Both 5s, right? Both used with the same hook, but the thickness of the yarn is a little bit different, so it's going to work up differently for you. So for sure, when I work on this pattern again, I'm going to just use a 50 count for my adult size because this 60 is just a little bit too big. But could you not stand? And I did not stripe this on purpose. Like, I just pulled it out and started using it. So then self starts thinking, if I had done this hat in only 50, you can see my seam right there where the colors were almost meeting. If I did this hat in just 50 instead of 60, would it have turned out? I mean, you can kind of see here, like it almost does. It's so cool. I love this colorway. So I jumped right on. When I was done making this hat, I jumped right online to search for some more. And I found different things across the internet. Walmart had some on sale for I think $6.99 for ones they were trying to clear out of, all up to $12.99 for a newer color. Another website, I think I saw them on Mary Maxim for $5, but there was only one colorway, and it was kind of a reddish that I just worked through my cinnamon swirl issues, so I wasn't about to buy any more in that color spectrum. But I thought I would come out and tell you guys real quick. Not real quick, this was just yesterday. Dryer's done. You know, search online, and I just type in yarn clearance and start, you know, different websites will come up with some clearance tabs, and you never know what you're going to find. I saw yarn, I think it was yarn.com, and they had a whole bunch of stuff that was on clearance for, you know, sort the stuff that's price descending to ascending, low to high, you know, and just look at the lower priced things and see what you know, does that tickle your fancy? Is that something that you can work with? And then a lot of times they also have, you know, free shipping over a certain dollar amount. So, you know, you could really pay a very low price, you know, get a whole bunch of yarn and feel like you hit up one of our clearance. You know, I hear a lot of you guys say that you don't have the Hobby Lobbies in the places where you live, or you know, Michael's, when I run into Michael's and find a quick little clearance or whatnot, like the Charisma, these for $2 a skein, normally $5 or $6 a skein. So you never know what you can find online. And again, I just type in yarn and clearance and start clicking through and looking through stuff. So anyway, so I didn't buy any of this so that you guys can go buy some if you like it, because I think it's beautiful. And so then here, this one, again, I would normally complain that I got so much blue and green, but this one's called Emerald, and I really, really, really like the way it was working up. Some of these blues, I don't know if they're hitting on camera, they're just electric. And there's a stripe in down here where the marbled color is green and blue together that's just super, super bright. So, you know, looking at it like this, it would just kind of be like, whatevs, a little blue, a little green, a little yellow, whatever. But I really thought it turned out pretty. And this would be, you know, I see this on a blonde kid with some blue eyes, boy or girl. I think that would work out amazingly. So there's that one. And then, so the let's circle back around to the mandala that that she did use. So this is what it was supposed to fit as. Okay, so what she used, specifically same hook, same yarn. This is supposed to be a kid's hat, and it's 50 stitches. And so again, it fits me, and it's not snug, you know, I'm not choking over here. There's tons of space. Here's my ear. So it's not as long as an adult would like it. So I thought, okay, let's try for the same snug fit of the 50, but then I did a couple of extra rows down here. Like, it's weird. So now I got to pull it way down. And if you have glasses, that doesn't work. I thought, can it curl up? This is not really the type of hat to curl up. So I don't know that that one was so much of a fail, as it's not fitting me the same, you know? And it could be, who knows if this one could be a kid's hat that's a little bit more slouchy, you know, so if I don't need all of that length to come down my big old head, and it's a kid's hat, so it might be a little, like a little girl's hat that's a little bit slouchy or whatever. So, I don't know. Like I said, I just needed to get in there and start working some hats, get some finished products, get some feel good going on, because that sewing really kicked my patootie. Let me tell you. So, alrighty guys, I think that's what I've got for today. Now, my schedule changed again. You know, I keep saying this, if you speak it out into the world, you sometimes get bit. And so I just told you guys how I work with my scheduling of my videos and stuff, and then my work schedule changed. So I'm trying to throw this one together real quick today. I worked this morning, little bits down for a nap. I'm trying to throw this together so that it can get uploaded tomorrow, and so I can keep my every 4 days, as I'd like to feel like that's about catch up time with, you know, you don't want to miss your friends for more than 4 days at a time, right? I want to get together and see you guys. So that's all I've got for the hats. Throw a quick shout out to St. Louis Cardinals. I'm not a big baseball fan per se, but the Cardinals are a whole nother breed of baseball player. If you ever looked up a map of Cardinal Nation, you know, the map covers more than just the St. Louis area. The St. Louis Cardinals are pretty powerful. When I first moved here, it was Mark McGwire season, and now, you know, we lived through Pujols, and now Pujols is back. So the city's alive, man. There's so much happiness and joy that comes with baseball for St. Louis people. So had to throw my shirt on and give them a shout out real quick. If you don't know already, I've got a Facebook group page that I just started. So if you'll go there and, you know, answer a couple questions like your favorite stitch or whatever. I can't remember now what I put out there. I was so nervous when I was building it up. And then that way, like when we talk about this, if you go out there and make a hat, you can show me, post the picture of it. You know, it's not, I don't have any patterns, you know, I don't make patterns, so there's never going to be anything that you can't show on my Facebook page, on our Facebook page, because it really is all about inspiring or motivating. And so maybe you've got this yarn and thought it was horrific sitting on your shelf and didn't know what to do, and now I made this beautiful hat, and now you see it, and now you go make that hat. Show me. I want to see it. I want to see how, you know, you guys are feeling the vibe and sending back new vibes, and that is what this is all about. I'm so excited at the prospect of having a little Facebook thing going on. I mean, I know there's a lot of them out there, and I don't want people to get sick of it or anything like that, but so I've got the Facebook page. I've got you know, an email address listed down below, and as well as I got a PO box open now. So I've got kind of a group thing that I'm trying to think about how to word it and how to put it out there to you guys, as far as something that would be very interactive. So until I kind of get my P's and Q's together, I'll keep it there. So if that's something that you're interested in, please be sure to stick around for my next videos by clicking on the subscribe button so you won't miss when I upload my next one. But otherwise, I just really, really appreciate your time as usual. I had a great time today. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.